Come on and tune into that old world charm. It's sweet delight. Hear that old world charm. They can spin some yarns to hold tonight.
Hello, one and all, and welcome to That Old World Charm. I'm your host, Peter the Falcon Colosimo, and with me, as almost always, other than the times when he's not, is your actual favorite person on this show. We hear it all the time, Danny McDevitt.
Not even one person has said that, but I love that that you're instilling me with this confidence, Peter. Thank you.
I guarantee, that at least 7 people have said that. There's
all right. I'm holding you to that. You're gonna have to show me the evidence.
Because here's the thing: yes, a number of people like the silly voices. I would say an equal number of people really do not like the silly voices. So I'm a very polarizing figure on this podcast. Adam is the only one that holds us together. So when he's not here,
true.
This podcast is garbage. So just prefacing this for everyone that's listening right now, Adam is not here. He's at Nova Open. He's about to do commentary for some game. I don't know, Warhammer 40K, Old World, something. He's going to be doing work, so he couldn't join us.
Look, while Dad's away, the kids will play.
The kids will play.
Both of us have naturally silly voices, so
it's true. I do sound regularly like I'm rejected from Alvin and the Chipmunks. It's just a known fact. Anyway, guys, we're here and we're really excited because a big thank you to Games Workshop. They have, for whatever reason, provided us with a preview copy of the Arcane Journal, Warriors of Chaos. And that's the only reason why any of you are listening to this, is because you want the sweet deets as early as possible from 2 people who have half of an idea of what they're talking.
It's the sweet deets from the sweet meats.
Oh, geez. That should be our tagline. The sweet deets from the sweet meats. Oh my God. Why are we doing this old world charm thing? Val was right. It was a shitty idea. We should.
I really appreciate him being the first to support us, but also at the same time, the amount of times he's told us how garbage our name is I've lost count now. I've lost count.
Yeah. The only saving grace to our podcast name and anything else is the fact that Steve Joll wrote and produced the greatest theme songs any podcast has ever had. And he did 8 of them. And you guys only get to listen to 4 because we refuse to release the other ones. There are black tapes.
Well, we have to keep something in reserve.
It's true. It's true. Okay, so let's get into this Arcane Journal. So guys, just like every other Arcane Journal review and book review that we've done, the way we're going to kind of do this is we're going to start. I'm going to go over briefly what we have in the book, just an overview, and then we're going to get right into the nitty gritty. We're going to cover the 2 army composition lists. With each army composition list, we'll go over if there's a special character that's kind of mostly attached to that army composition list. And then we'll go over any units that are attached to that army composition list in particular that are dedicated. Because if you've listened to any of our other reviews for Arcane Journals, that's very common for GW to do. They'll have with Cetra's list from Tomb Kings, there was the Tomb Guard Chariot that was exclusive to that, or the Royal what was that? The Royal Host Warriors for
the Skeletal Cohort.
And the Skeletal Cohort as well, the Royal Cohort. So there's a lot of those. And this book does have quite a few. I believe there's 5 that are exclusive just to the new army composition lists. And then at the end of it all, we'll go over the new magic items, of which there are quite a few, and there's a few good ones in this book. Is there anything I'm missing there, Danny?
I don't think so. Did we talk about special characters? There's a couple of those.
Yes. So special characters, there are 2 special characters in this book. There's 2 Armies of Infamy. There are 7 other units that are new to Warriors of Chaos, of which I believe 5 are army locked, and then 2 can be used with just about anything. And then there's quite a few magic items. One thing I will say in advance, with the magic items, unlike with orcs and goblins and the dwarven holds, they have gone back to, with this book, locking some of the magic items to the Armies of Infamy. So there are a few magic items in this book that you have to play a certain Army of Infamy to get access to. Luckily, I would say, in my opinion, and Danny will correct me, I'm sure, as we get to them, there's only one or two that are like that amazing anyway. And I don't think they make or break the army, like the Army of Infamy. So there is that. So, Danny, what do we want to talk about first? Where is your brain going? Do you want to talk about the Wolves of the Sea, the Marauder-based army list, or would you like to talk about the Heralds of Chaos, which is kind of the mounted army list that we have available to us today?
You know, Peter, what I'd like to do is I'd like to start small and then get bigger. So let's start with the Wolves of the Sea and the smallest members of the Chaos faction, with the exception of maybe Skaven and Chaos Dwarves, and move upwards to the big boys.
Like it. I love it. So, guys, Wolves of the Sea is the first Army of Infamy. It's the first one available in the book, and it's actually kind of the Army of Infamy that the majority of the book is centered around. Kind of similar to how orcs and goblins did it, where the nomads had a huge section of the lore book with Kiknik and his story. Whereas Wolves of the Sea, same idea. A lot of the lore in this book is centered around the Wolves of the Sea detachment and what's going on with them, and particularly the special character that's kind of attached to them, Friedal the Chain. So for the Wolves of the Sea army composition list, it differs pretty significantly from the Grand Army composition list.
I've got the Grand Army pulled up, and I'm gonna straight across, like 1-to-1, compare these. So
okay, so
I'm ready, Pete.
For characters, up to half your army can be characters as normal, of which you can have one Chaos Lord, Demon Prince, or Sorcerer.
Okay.
So you can't have both a Chaos Lord and a Sorcerer Lord in this list. You can have one Exalted Champion or one Exalted Sorcerer per 1,000 points. You can have as many Aspiring Champions and the new Marauder Tribe Chieftain as you want.
Oh, cool.
And the Marauder Tribe Chieftain is like a slightly worse Aspiring Champion.
I'm sure his points reflect that, though. So.
Oh, yes, exactly. That's the thing. He's slightly less points, slightly worse. He does have some other benefits, though, which we'll get into when we cover him. At core, you lose a significant portion of your core in this book. So for core, you have to spend 25%. It can only be on Chaos Marauders, Marauder Horsemen, Chaos Warhounds, or the new Marauder Tribe Berserker.
Dang.
So you can't take Chaos Warriors in core. You can't take Chaos Knights. You can't take Forsaken. That's all out. At special, you can take Chaos Warriors. You're allowed a unit of Chaos Warriors, but don't. You can take regular Chaos Chariots. You can take Chaos Spawn. And there's two new units in special. The Skin Wolves, which are a highlight, I think, for a lot of people to see coming back. And Marauder Tribe Huskarls, which are like an upgraded Marauder Horseman.
Oh, cool. Okay.
At rare, which you can spend a third of your army, 33%, which is really good. You get access to Chaos Ogres, Chaos Trolls, Dragon Ogres, the new gigantic spawn of Chaos, which you can take 1 per 1,000 points. You can take up to 1 Dragon Ogre Shaggoth per unit of Dragon Ogres you take, and you have access to the Chaos Giant at 1 per 1,000 points. And then for mercenaries, you get access to Gores and Ungores.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah. Lastly, the Battle Standard Bearer in your army, like normal, you can take an Aspiring Champion as a Battle Standard Bearer, or you can take a Marauder Tribe Chieftain. As
nice. Okay. So you can't take the Exalted Champion Banner Bearer?
No. Exalted Champion, you are allowed to have up to 2 in a list at 2,000 points. They cannot take a banner. They're so low. When they're explaining this kind of, there's some lore reasoning behind it, which is basically like the Marauder tribes, these the Kurgans and whatnot from the north. When they're going and raiding and pillaging, there's very few of them that are decked out in armor. There's usually only one guy that's kind of shown up and has kind of led his wa into the wilderness. And so because of that, everybody else is practically naked.
You love to see it.
You love to see it. Now, the Wolves of the Sea have 3 special rules, and this is like, I'll say this right now, this is my favorite of the 2 Armies of Infamy. It is, in my opinion, like head and shoulders above the other one, not because Heralds is bad competitively or anything, but this gives us a brand new way to play Chaos, I believe. And that's exciting to me. So the first of the special rules is incredibly powerful, perhaps not because of the way the game is being played right now, and that is Favor of the Gods. So if a character in the Wolves of Sea army kills their opponent in a challenge, they immediately roll on the Gaze of the Gods table.
Nice.
In addition, any unit that claims a standard as a trophy, like unit or character, they also get to roll on Gaze of the Gods.
Ooh, that's so good. Oh my, like a whole unit buff?
The whole unit gets that buff. Now, they could also lose a leadership or become stupid. But like this really amps up everything in this list if you get one good banner go. There aren't a lot of banners in competitive play right now, but if you luck out into certain armies, like Bretonia often will run 3 or 4, or some others, you can really rack up some crazy bonuses on some units that like just go to the moon.
That's pretty cool. And there's so many, like, there's half of them are permanent, right? I mean, other than like damned.
Yeah. So like, so you can get +1 weapon skill permanently, +1 strength permanently, or +1 attack permanently multiple times. Any of those. Like just even regular Marauders with flails bumping to 2 attacks or 3 if they're Mark of Khorne.
Right.
So scary. Like they just completely the Marauder tribe, the Horsemen, but like particularly the new Huskarl Horsemen, if they get an extra attack, they get real dumb real fast. Seaborn Raiders is the next rule. So this is kind of similar to the rule that the Nomads got for their goblins. However, this is on much scarier stuff. So units of Marauders or Marauder Horsemen within the Wolves of the Sea may gain the Ambushers rule for +1 point. Aspiring champions may get it for +10 points, but they have to stay infantry. You can't put them on something to do it. So this adds some pretty unique flavor to the list where you're going to have, you can potentially have like these big blobs of Marauders coming in from reserves in different angles, which is really cute, especially with Friedal. When we get to her, she makes this particular rule amazing.
So to me, yeah, this like kind of echoes some of the design like that they've done in previous books. Like you have like the Dwarven like expeditionary force. It's kind of like that with miners.
Yeah.
Where that's a big part of it. And then like, of course, you have like Kicknick and the nomadic Wa like being another great.
I really like that they're pushing ambushers because ambushers is such a unique rule. It's just that at face value, it kind of sucks. Like you need some way to make it slightly better most of the time, right? Like Tomb Kings do it well because of From Beneath the Sands. Beastmen get that reroll, which make it at least a little more easy to swallow. Kicknick gives that +1/-1. Dwarves get the really expensive steam drill that makes a big difference. So, yeah. And lastly, we've got Warriors Duel. And this is kind of a cool little extra ability that you get tagged on, where as long as you have a champion in your list that has a single wound, you may choose to declare a challenge at the beginning of any of your games. If you do, and your opponent has a champion with at least 1 wound, they can choose to accept or decline. If they accept, whoever wins that challenge is who goes first. And you fight a challenge to the death.
That's cool.
If your opponent declines and they have the option to accept, you get to go first, regardless. So this is pretty cool. And Chaos are really good at challenges, right? They have base initiative that's generally quite high, really good weapon skill. And they've got some really solid options in this list to like kind of deck out a character on the sly, right? So
So, and this champion, it doesn't have to be like a unit champion. It can be like any character that you have. And do you get to challenge any other enemy character?
So it has to be a unit champion of
Oh, a
one,
unit champion. Okay.
and they have to accept. If they accept, it has to be with a unit champion that only has one wound.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, you've got some good options here. Like you've got an ogre champion.
One wound.
Oh, it has to be just one wound? I thought it said at least one wound.
Oh no, sorry. It has to only have one wound. So you've got like the Marauders, a Chaos Warrior champion if you choose to take one of them, because you could, I think, spend 50 points on one of them and make them kind of scary, especially because not a lot of lists do it, right? Oftentimes when you see unit champions, they're just getting maybe some kind, like maybe an Obsidian Lodestone or something on them.
At best. And maybe you can challenge that out, like, and get that in combat and kill it. Yeah.
Exactly. Whereas, like, because you have this army list, you can build around it and be like, okay, well, you know, my Chaos Warrior champion, I'm actually gonna give him something good, right? So like something real hitty or really defensive, and win out that way. So I think there's some really cute stuff there.
Like it.
They also have a little note here about Bretonnians. So if a Bretonnian army accepts the challenge, it counts as praying for the blessing of the lady. Should a Bretonnian player decline the challenge, it cannot pray for the blessing. And any unit that would be usually begin the game with it, such as models with the Grail Val, lose it automatically.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
if you're a Bretonnian player, you have to accept that challenge. Like, you don't have another option. And you're always going to have a one wound champion of some kind, right? Keep that in mind, guys.
That's right.
Huh.
Pretty cool.
So let's go over some of these special units.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go over the specific ones for this list, and then we can hit the specific one for the other one.
Okay, so let's start with the de facto general of the list, Fridal the Chainmaker. So this is the special character that's associated with the Wolves of the Sea. She can be, she's considered an exalted champion. Mm-hmm. Any list that's allowed to run an exalted champion can run her. So she's not exclusive to the Wolves of the Sea. She just makes Wolves of the Sea better. And I don't see her as being usable in the other Grand Army army options. But in Wolves of the Sea, she's quite good.
Does she have the same stat line as a normal exalted champion?
She's got a slightly better stat line.
Wow.
So are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Fridal the Chainmaker. She's movement 4. She's weapon skill 6.
Nice.
Ballistic skill 3. She doesn't have a gun. Doesn't matter.
It's fine.
Strength 5, just like an exalted champ. Toughness 4. 3 wounds.
Nice.
Initiative 5. Base 4 attacks. Leadership 9.
Nice.
235 points.
Okay, so we're looking at 110 extra points for right now. All we're getting is +1 leadership, which, to be fair, is great.
Now, here's what you're paying. She comes base with full plate and a shield, and the magic weapon Storm's Wrath. Storm's Wrath gives her an extra D3 attacks.
Nice.
It's strength +2, AP -1, requires 2 hands. So you can't use your shield in close combat.
Okay.
But
still pretty good.
She's so she's attacking 5 to 7 times. That's strength 7 in combat. And
I love it. What special does she have?
So she has ambushers. So she's base and ambusher. She has Chaos Armor 5+, so she's got a 3+, 5++ against shooting, 4+, 5++ in close combat. Mm-hmm. She's got Ensorcelled Weapon, which doesn't matter because she has to use Storm's Wrath all the time. Gaze of the Gods. She has 1 impact hit.
Oh, okay.
Yep. She's Mark of Chaos Undivided. She has Rallying Cry. And then she has 3 unique special rules. Chainmaker, Commander and Captain, and Peerless Raider. So with Chainmaker, anytime she's in a unit that captures a standard, that standard is worth 100 victory points instead of 50.
Nice.
Unless she is fleeing, Commander and Captain, all Marauders of any kind, so all of the types of marauders, gain +1 to their leadership as long as they're within her command range.
Wow.
And lastly, Peerless Raider, up to 1 unit of marauders or marauder horsemen in your list gains ambushers for free. So if you're running them in the if you're running this as Wolves of the Sea, instead of paying 1 point per model, you just get that. And oftentimes that means you're saving 15 to 20 points right there. Yeah. Also, if you're running her in Grand Army, this would be the only reason to do it, is because now that Grand Army unit gets ambushers. In addition, if she's your general, you can apply a +1 or -1 modifier to the result when rolling to determine if she or any unit of marauders, marauder horsemen, marauder berserkers, or huskarls with the ambusher special rule arrives from reinforcements.
That's extremely cool.
It's really cool. And like we talked about this with Kicknick when we talked about in the Orc and Goblin, like how powerful being able to manipulate ambushers is. What I find makes this even more powerful is like these units, particularly the Marauder Tribe Berserkers, they're just really good to have in ambush. So giving that +1, -1 on them is a different ball game from giving this to a bunch of Goblin Wolf Riders. Right?
Absolutely.
Like, it's just like having a strength 5 or strength 6 unit that with a bunch of buffs and 1,000,000 attacks come in from ambush. Way better than like leadership potato goblins, which are still like, so you don't have to put characters in those units to make them scary. Like, it's just like, oh shit, even 5 of those guys coming out of reserve, that's a cleanup crew sometimes. So really, really cool. She's great. I really love her to death. Just super neat, kind of expensive, and a soft underbelly, but just don't get her to challenge monsters and shit, and you should be okay. She can take on most stuff that's on foot. It's just, don't walk her up to a dragon and expect much to happen.
And does she has the Gaze of the Gods rule?
Yeah.
Okay, that's God. So like her stats are not necessarily her stats. So remember that they're going to get better. Like she's going to kill stuff too, which if she's in Wolves of the Sea, she's probably going to get at least a couple extra ones, especially if your opponent's like throwing champions at her and stuff.
Oh yeah. Like and the fact that every time she captures a standard, she rolls on Gaze of the Gods and gets an additional 50 victory points. That's huge in and of itself, because there's so many games that come down to who has characters remaining, right?
Right.
So every banner sometimes makes up the difference. If you spent 700-800 points on characters or more, both of you, then that's usually the tiebreaker. So I think she's really, really well set to see play, especially if you're running Wolves of the Sea.
Also, like army composition wise, right?
Yeah.
So since she's an exalted champion, she doesn't take up your slot for a level 4, which I think is really crucial.
Oh yeah, like so you can run a Sorcerer Lord or a Demon Prince, and in both cases, like Demon Prince is leadership 9, so you can still have her as your general and get all those ambusher benefits while having that Demon Prince in play, which is really cool too. So either like whether you go with a Demon Prince or a Sorcerer Lord, you want to do one or the other for sure, because you want that level 4. You get a lot of benefit out of it.
Does she give herself +1 leadership?
No, she's not a marauder.
Okay. So that rule is kind of moot unless you have another character as your general.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. But still a good rule. It's a good rule.
Yeah.
Or I guess also this is going to come into situations where like you have the necromancy spell where you're not allowed to use Inspiring Presence.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Dude, that's cool. Yeah, she sounds great. Like what a good value for that army specifically though. Like
235 points is pretty steep for like an exalted champion, but she's got like a really wicked weapon. I wish it was AP2, but then she'd probably be like in every list. because now it's a great weapon that attacks an initiative. So I guess with extra attacks. So beggars can't be choosers. But anyway, let's move into the rest. So Marauder Tribe Chieftains. This is the new character option that's explicitly for Sea Wolves. Movement 4, weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 3, strength and toughness 4, 2 wounds, initiative 4, 3 attacks, leadership 8, base 65 points. He comes base with ambushers.
Nice.
So you don't have to pay the 10 points like you would for others. Yeah, it's Chaos Armor 6+, Gaze of the Gods, Warband. He's got base light armor. He can be upgraded to have a shield, so he's just got a 5-up armor save at best.
Okay.
He can take a flail or a great weapon. He can be put on a war horse. He can have any of the marks of Nurgle, and he can take 50 points of magic items. He's okay. Like, I think really the only reason why you'd want to consider him, and maybe you'll change my mind on this, is for the having an ambushing character in a unit of Marauders if you want one that's not Fredal, basically, to give you a little bit of spice. But
he's pretty cheap. He doesn't have the same kind of armor necessarily that an aspiring champion does. And he doesn't have quite as good of a ward save through his chaos armor, but getting ambushers for free is pretty nice. And with Warband, which is a nice role, you can really increase you can make sure his leadership is really high in a unit that he's leading.
Yeah.
That also has that because I think Marauders have Warband. Yeah, they do.
They do. Yeah.
So I think that's awesome.
He can really spike a leadership. The charge rerolls are pretty neat. There might be a cute play there where you just put him on a warhorse and either by himself or in a very small unit of Marauder Horsemen.
Oh, yeah, just ambush him.
Ambush him and just here's a 360 charger in your backfield that's going to clean up all your chaff and stuff. I think there's some interesting play there. So yeah, I kind of like him. I haven't run one yet in any of my games because I feel like there's better options, but I want to give him a go. Next up, the new core choice is Marauder Tribe Berserkers. So
are these elite Marauders?
Kind of. I would say they're more they're just like Marauders on meth.
I see.
So they're movement 5
for a long time, and they're ready to take that out on.
But yeah, Marauder Tribe Berserkers. So these guys, these methed up Marauders, they're movement 5 base,
nice.
Which is great. Weapon skill 4, strength 3, toughness 4. Yeah, initiative 3, leadership 8 base with if you take their champion. They're 8 points apiece. Nice. You can give them. They come with light armor, and they have a 6+ ward save against non-magical attacks.
Oh, okay.
They can take additional hand weapons or flails for 1 point each. They can take throwing axes if you like. They can have full command. They can pay 1 point for ambushers. Their special rules are frenzy, move through cover, open order, skirmishers, and warband, and mark of chaos undivided. So they have effectively 2 marks because they're frenzied, right? Like Khorne.
Yeah.
But they keep the mark of chaos undivided. But these are fast moving skirmishers with warband, with base 2 attacks each. You can give them a 3rd attack or give them flails. And even if you give them flails and ambush, that's 10 points per model. You're not paying much for these dudes.
Yeah, that's worth. I think that they sound awesome. And it's any unit can be a skirmisher for them. That's just one of their special rules.
They're all skirmishers. They can either be open order or skirmisher. It's just free.
Yeah.
So I love them.
Those are great.
Just spamming these guys in ambush, even if you don't take Fredal, you don't care if they don't come out when you technically want them to, because even if they come out late game, you just let's say you take 10 of them for 100 points. That's 20 attacks that just walked on the board turn 5 that are going to be strength 5 on the charge, and you've already cleaned up most of your opponent's other stuff, hopefully. And now, holy shit, here's these monsters that are going to start causing havoc. And if you get to pick when they come on the board or they come in earlier, even better. I think they're like, you should take as many of these guys as you can. They're like war dancers at home. We have war dancers at home, but it's infinitely cheaper.
Taking as like a just like either a screen, because it doesn't care about, they don't care about like panic, which is nice. Or like even coming in, like even as min squads, are they 5+?
5+, yeah.
They sound awesome.
Yeah, they're amazing screeners. They're amazing ambushers. Skirmish, warband, 360 charges. Like, oh, I love them. I've been running them with flails, but like additional hand weapons isn't a terrible option if you find you're dealing with a lot of chaff, because base 3 attacks each is no joke. If you happen to kill something with a banner or capture a banner and they get another attack, it's silly. It gets real dumb real fast. But yeah, so good.
I really like that sounds awesome.
Oh yeah, they're one of my favorite units in this book. Next up, Marauder Tribe Huskarls. So these are the upgraded Marauder Tribe horsemen. I expect an FAQ here because the Huskarls are listed as something that Fridal gives ambush bonuses to, but there's no way for them to ambush currently in this book. So it was either forgotten or something changed late game. But right now they cannot ambush. And if they could, I would like them a lot more. So they're like a mix of a light cav and a heavy cav. They are listed as light cavalry. So they're movement 8 because they're on war horses. Weapon skill 4, strength 3, toughness 4, initiative 3. So like your standard Marauder stat line. They're 18 points a model base. They come with light armor, but you can upgrade them to take heavy armor and shields for 1 point each for each thing.
Ooh, I do like that.
Yeah, so they bump up to a 4-up armor save. They come stock with cavalry spears free, or you can give them flails for 1 point per model. They can take throwing axes and javelins, just like regular horsemen. They can have any of the marks of the gods. They can 1 unit per 1,000 points can get drilled for 2 points per model. Drilled, always good.
Yeah, drilled is a great rule. Like huge for so many situations. Like don't just think of it as like, oh, well, offensively, this is a great rule. It's just a good rule to have in like so many little tactical situations for like the minute movement that ends up happening and stuff like that. Yeah. Great rule.
Oh, it's beautiful. Now, special rules. Close order. Countercharge, Furious Charge, Swift Stride, Warband.
Okay.
So successful charge, they're now two attacks per model, 3 if you make the Mark of Khorne. They're kind of like, if you go with Mark of Khorne, they're kind of like slightly cheaper Wild Riders.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're going to be 3 attacks each on the charge with Frenzy. They're not as good as Wild Riders, unfortunately, but they have Drilled, which Wild Riders don't get access to. So it's, I don't know what to think of them yet. I want to like them. But I'm not sure they're worth it because, like, if you give them, say, flails to make them strength 5 on that first turn of combat, you're now at 19 points per model. Heavy armor and shields, you're now 21. Giving them a mark puts them at 23, 25 with drilled. They're getting kind of expensive. Like Wild Riders are 27 base. So,
well, all right. Hear me out.
Okay.
So you take them with just flails. Don't bother with armor.
Yep.
And like Mark of Khorne. And you just make up, like, you keep them as cheap as you can and just have like this shock unit of cavalry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like it.
I don't know. Like
Like what-
you want to throw them away anyway because they are
Yeah.
like they're not going to be durable.
Like I would love if they had ambush because now they become infinitely more terrifying. Like having an 8-inch move unit pop out of ambush with 1 billion attacks on the charge,
And reroll charges.
and reroll charges. Yeah, like then they become scary. So if we get an early FAQ that states yes, they're supposed to have ambush for like 1 point per model or whatever, or even 2 points per model, I think they're amazing. I think right now they're kind of just like okay, and I don't think you include them yet, in my opinion. Maybe someone else will be like, "You're an idiot." They do get a lot of attacks, so there is that.
Yeah, I think that's powerful.
Yeah. I might be wrong on these guys. Okay, the final unit that's exclusive, and this actually makes me sad that this is exclusive to Wolves of the Sea because I love this unit. I always did. Because who doesn't like werewolves? And that's the skin wolves. So
You've always struck me as a skin loving kind of person.
I love skin a lot. They call me the Hannibal Lecter of the North. Or Ed,
Why is that?
Ed Gein, or Ed Gein maybe because he had the skin face thing. That'd be weird.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's because I love wolves. Like I'm a big wolf fan. Wolves are cool.
It could be.
But skin wolves, they're monstrous infantry and they're fast as. Sorry,
How
Dickie.
fast are they, Peter?
So their movement 7 with swift stride, as monstrous infantry.
Good start.
Weapon skill 5, strength 4, toughness 4, 3 wounds, 3 attacks each, initiative 4, leadership 7, 45 points per model. They come with Mark of Chaos Undivided. Unfortunately, you can't give them a different mark because I think that would also up their value a lot. They have open order. They can be skirmishers. They have 5+ regen. They come base with no armor save. Like I said, they have swift stride. They have skirmishers. They have 2 rules from the Beastman Army book. They have Primal Fury and Blood Rage.
Oh.
Yeah, so pass a leadership test and they're rerolling ones to hit. And if you roll doubles, they get Frenzy, which is cool.
Yeah.
They can take a champion for 7 points. They can't get like a musician or anything because wolves don't play music. They notoriously hate it.
Me too.
Well known. It's in the many National Geographics. They talk about how much wolves hate music and banners. But their big rule
they're
here.
from the town from Dirty Dancing, dude.
Yep. But their big rule is warped form. And warped form is like the Forsaken rule for the Forsaken units, except way better because you pick the mutation every turn.
Oh, that's cool.
So
you don't have to roll, you just get it.
Don't roll. Step 1.1 of the choose and fight phase, you choose one of the following transfigurations. And it lasts until your next start of turn where you get to pick another one. So as long as you're in close combat, you can have either Enlarged Claws, which gives you AP 1 on your close combat attacks, and Armor Bane 2. You can get Barbed Protrusions, which gives you extra attacks +1. Or you can have Toughened Flesh, which increases your toughness to 5 and gives you a 5+ armor save on top of your regeneration save.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So those are your 3 options. So they're like a little Swiss Army knife. I think they're very fast. I do like a unit of like say 3 or 4 of them because they get a decent amount of attacks with rerolls most of the time because of Primal Fury. They don't.
How many points are they?
They're 45 each.
That's pretty reasonable for what you get there.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, like I think they're fine. Like the Swift Stride and their movement speed 7 is pretty good for monstrous infantry. In particular, their base 3 of them are going to be base 10 attacks, probably 13, potentially 16, depending on what warped form you're choosing and if you got off Blood Rage.
Yeah. They get double attack for for frenzy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So now, so they can get a really solid amount of attacks. They're good at chopping up like medium to light armored units. It's not great at like killing 2-up armor saves unless you roll real hot on your armor banes, unfortunately. But yeah, I think they're solid. I like it, like a unit of say 3 or 4 of them to hunt down your opponent's medium stuff because they will tear it apart. And they'll catch them. That's the other big thing. And that, unfortunately, while they don't have Gaze of the Gods,
I do kind of think that it's probably a unit that you don't like. You don't build your army around this unit. This is a unit that you're taking to supplement something your army does already.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that maybe is one of the problems with the Marauder army, right? Like surface level, freaking awesome, right? But there's definitely some armor punch there that's lacking.
Yeah, like in my testing, what I'd found was like you need to take like Dragon Ogres or the new Chaos Spawn, which we'll get into soon. Because you have like you probably have like a Chaos Lord or a Demon Prince that punches super hard, and then everything else is you have 1 turn with flails, and if you don't do the job, then you're smacking guys with strength 3, right?
Yeah,
and that's like the majority of your army. So it's definitely like you try to hit and quit it, guys, with this army because you don't have a lot of other better options. But you're right. It's something that I think I bring up in the Goonhammer review article about Skin Wolves. Is like there's a lot of other units in this army that do the same job as them. Like the only difference is the Skin Wolves will catch your opponent, right? Like
they're very fast, and that's
your swift stride.
Real good. Yeah.
Because otherwise, like the Marauder Tribe Berserkers, like they do most of the same stuff the Skin Wolves are going to do against basically all the same units for cheaper.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's it for like the army specific units. I guess we can talk about Gigantic Spawn of Chaos here because I've mentioned them a couple times, and they are available to. This is one of the units that's available to all Chaos armies. So the Grand Army, the Heralds, and the Sea Wolves can take them. Also, this is a new unit for Beastmen.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Beastmen are allowed to take them as well. They can be taken in any army that they're allowed in. You can take 1 per 1,000 points as a rare slot. And that's good because these guys are sick. And if you could take more than 2, you would. Like, they are infuriating to play against. They are amazing to play with. I love them. They are mangler squigs, but I like them.
Okay, hold on a minute.
Just listen. Just listen.
All right. Yeah, tell me what that spawn do, Peter.
What the Gigantic Spawn do. So Gigantic Spawn, they're 145 points base. They do have upgrade. Their marks are their upgrade options. But the marks are worth it. So they are movement 3d6 random instead of 2d6 like a regular spawn. Weapon skill 3, no ballistic skill. Strength 6, toughness 6 wounds. Initiative 3, d6 plus 1 attacks. Leadership 10. They have a 5+ armor save. They are armor bane 2.
Nice.
Their attacks are AP 1, by the way. So they're AP 1, armor bane 2. Okay. They have first charge. Close order, immune to psychology, large target, random attacks, random movement, d6 stomps, terror, unbreakable. So like default at 145 points, you get a strength 6, toughness 6 wound, unbreakable unit that has effectively 2d6 plus 1 attacks, like because d6 stomps, right? 3d6 random movement is crazy good. Like random movement is a very powerful rule as it is. Getting 3d6 out of it instead of 2d6 is just like it changes so much math on people. Like you're averaging 10 inches most rounds or 11, and then some turns you go 18, right? Yeah. So The different marks, the different gigantic spawn ofs, as they call them, do provide some really cool abilities. I'm going to go in my order of worst to best.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, GW also thinks worst to best because they are differently pointed. So for 10 points, you can take a spawn of Tzeentch. And they gain flaming attacks, magical attacks, and magic resistance -2.
Oh, okay.
Not bad. Not bad for 10 points. Now you have a 155-point model with some pretty decent special rules. The spawn of Slaanesh. I actually kind of like the spawn of Slaanesh because they gain for 15 points. So now it's 160. You gain countercharge and first strike. Strikes first.
Yes, please.
That's very good, right? For 20 points, so for 5 more points, you can take a spawn of Khorne. Spawns of Khorne gain impact hits D3 and killing blow.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that's pretty good. I really like that. And now Nurgle, which is the most expensive and for good reason. Nurgle spawns are 25 more points, so 170 points base. You gain poisoned attacks and regeneration 5+.
Oh.
And like having 170-point strength 6, tough 6, 6 wound, regen 5+ models on the board that also have poisoned attacks. It's a very frustrating, unbreakable unit. Because you very rarely lose combat with these guys the way the game's currently being played. And when you do, you're unbreakable, so you just bounce back. I should also note that while most of their attacks are AP1, you may choose, this isn't mandatory, you can make one of them a strike's last attack at AP2, that if it wounds, you heal a wound.
Yes, that's the mouth, I assume.
Yeah, he has the gnashing maw.
So,
so you heal a wound anytime it wounds. So
that's rad. And are they a behemoth?
They are a behemoth. So their stomps
are AP2 as well.
Yeah. In my test games with people, I ran Khorne and Nurgle. I didn't try the other two yet. I feel like the other two are fine. Khorne was cool, except as soon as he got caught by anything, if he got caught by enough stuff, he just died. The Nurgle ones never die. They just never do. And they still punch so hard. Adam, I thought, was done with me. Because when I ran my Nurgle 1 into him, the Nurgle 1 took on a Stonehorn for multiple rounds of combat. It killed 2 or 3 Mournfang because of stomps, like AP2 stomps. It was just and he just kept healing. He would do a couple of wounds to it. His toughness 6 is hard for Adam's list to break unless he's hitting him with the Stonehorn. Yeah. So there was a lot of just 1 wound, and then I heal it back when I bit a Mournfang in half type thing. So yeah, these guys, I feel like at 170 points, particularly for Nurgle, although the other ones are just fine too, you're going to see 2 of them in every Chaos list you can. They're so good.
Yeah, that seems amazing. Well, that's an insane package for that point value. Yeah, I'm into Slaanesh. I think that sounds like just what I would want.
Slaanesh is cool. Countercharge is cool. Strikes first is fine. I'm really into that.
That just has to be his defense too.
Yeah, exactly. And Khorne was fun into the ogres because I had 1 Khorne, 1 Nurgle against Adam. I played this list a couple of times. Into Adam with the ogres. I never once got the killing blow to go off, which made me so sad. And then the spawn of Khorne eventually got punked by it felt like all of Adam's units hit me at the same time. It was just one of those situations where I hit his general on the Stonehorn, the challenge general with Gutmaw, that has 9 wounds, I think, and I did 7 to him between the Khorne gigantic spawn, the Nurgle gigantic spawn, and 20 berserkers. So I won that combat, but he just bounced out 2 inches, and then he surrounded the one chaos spawn that he could and murdered it. But yeah, it was a fun game. So yeah, so that's it for the Wolves of the Sea.
Yeah, what a cool list. I mean, you're still a combat
impressions?
army, right?
They are still a combat army. That's probably the one thing I wish we'd had something added to more than anything was like, I like this ambusher thing. I wish that there was, I don't know. I wish that the second Army of Infamy had some kind of extra ranged thing added, which I guess kind of completely changes the army, or focused on something other than knights and chariots, because we kind of already have that list with Chaos.
I am pretty surprised that they didn't do mark specific armies.
Yeah. Like I was thinking like that was an easy one to do and you could do some pretty cool stuff with it, or a mutation heavy army.
Oh, that'd be cool too. Yeah.
Like have something that's all, because they just added this new spawn. And there's a new dragon that's kind of a mutated dragon. So you could have totally had like a list that was based around like Forsaken and Chaos Spawn and the Warp Fire Dragon, and maybe a special character like bring in what's his face? The Spawn character.
Oh, Scylla?
Oh, Scylla or Aang. God, what was his name? No, you're right. It's Scylla. Yeah, never mind. You are correct.
Yeah, Scylla and Griffin something. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember his last name.
Yeah, the Chaos Spawn character. Like that would have been super cool. And they did like specify that he's alive in this in one of the lore things, although he's not quite a spawn yet. He hasn't mutated. But guys, fudge the rules a little bit. Bring him in. Anyway,
cool. We're all here for it.
Instead of those cool ideas, we get the Heralds of Darkness. Which is fine. So,
I mean, I like a mounted army. I think that's a cool way to play.
I mean, you know, I've talked many times about how I immediately bought a Nomads orc list when I read Nomads. So you'd think I would be into this. I can't get into it because like I already have played mounted Chaos Warriors in the Grand Army, and I don't know if this adds much to it, but you can tell me I'm wrong. So, army composition for Heralds of Darkness. You can have 1 Chaos Lord or Demon Prince in your list. You can have 1 Exalted Champion or Sorcerer Lord per 1,000 points.
Okay.
You can have as many Aspiring Champions and Exalted Sorcerers as you like.
So same as the Grand Army.
Yeah. For core, now at least 1/3 of your army has to be core.
Oh, okay.
Which is crap, by the way. You have to have at least 1 unit of Chaos Knights. So 1+ unit of Chaos Knights.
Yeah,
you can
no problem there, buddy. I mean, that's like best unit of the.
Well, if it was chosen Chaos Knights, I'd be more into it. But regular Chaos Knights are fine. You can have as many Marauder Horsemen or Chaos Warhounds as you like, and you may take 1 Chaos Chariot as core.
Just 1, like it just says 0 to 1 Chaos Chariot as core.
You got it.
Amazing.
Yeah. It sucks that it's 33% of your army. Like, that was the hardest thing for me, was like, okay, I got to run a bunch of knights, but because of something we'll talk about later, I can't really give them marks, so they're not as good. And anyway, 50% special. You can have up to 1 unit of chosen Chaos Knights, which I thought odd because it's the same as the Grand Army, but I think for a mounted list, you could maybe take 2. You can have 1 chosen Chaos Chariot per 1,000 points, which is the new unit that's explicitly for the Heralds of Darkness. You can also take as many Chaos Spawn, Chaos Chariots, Chimeras, or Dragon Ogres as you want. Special.
Oh, they get special. Oh, Chimeras were already special before. Yeah, okay.
At rare, you can take Gorby's Chariots. You can take Dragon Ogre Shaggoths as long as you have Dragon Ogres. Once again, you can take 1 gigantic spawn of chaos per 1,000 points. You can take 1 Chaos Giant per 1,000 points, and you can take 1 Warp Fire Dragon in your list if you like, in the rare slot. For mercenaries, you get Centaurs. You can take Centaur chieftains or Centaur herds.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Battle standard bearer, same as as Grand Army, exalted champion or aspiring champion can be your BSB. The only other thing of note in this book in particular is all of the models in this list purchase their magic items from either the common or warriors or chaos magic items list. So if you're like your dragon ogres and your dragon ogre Shoggoth, rather than taking from beastmen like the FAQ says, at least in this list, they get to take from the warriors of chaos list instead.
Makes sense. Okay.
For special rules, Heralds of Darkness, mounted host, all of your characters have to be on a mount or they have to have the fly special rule.
Okay.
Steeds of Darkness. This is the reason why you're probably going to run this and those chosen chaos chariots when we get into them. They're pretty sweet. And that is any cavalry or chariot unit, whenever they make a charge, flee, or pursuit roll, they can re-roll any dice that roll a natural 1.
I do really like that rule.
Like, yeah, it's very strong. It's finest horses from Bretonia, but on an army that doesn't have, other than the Marauder Horseman, doesn't have a lot of warband or a lot of swift stride. Like most of their chariots don't have swift stride, and now at least you get this reroll, so it's very strong. And then lastly, the Shadow Grows, and this special rule is other than the 33% core, the other reason why I'm kind of iffy on this Army of Infamy, and that is for each character in your army that has a Mark of Chaos, other than Mark of Chaos Undivided, you have to have a unit with that same mark, and vice versa. So because of the expense that you're paying for most Chaos characters, you're often kind of like maxing out at 3 marks per list.
Yeah, that's almost exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah. Like you could probably do some funky thing with just running a bunch of aspiring champions, but I'm not sure that's a good list. Or maybe you can eke something else out, but yeah, you're kind of stuck with, a Chaos Lord and a Sorcerer Lord, or Demon Prince and a Sorcerer Lord, or whatever combo you like, and then maybe one other guy that you can fit in a mark on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all right. So I just want to make sure I have the record straight here. So of the 3 special rules this army has, 2 of them are restrictions. 1 of them is a special rule.
Correct.
Okay. That's disappointing. I think that, all right, just off the cuff, I think that's right there, like a significant advantage for the Marauder army. I understand that they're taking some of the better units out of the Warriors of Chaos list, but at the same time, just giving you disadvantages like that, I think is like not the best.
Yeah. Like I feel like Steeds of Darkness is very strong, and it comes up a lot, right?
Yeah, it does.
So like we can't this is me trying to be kind. So like it can't be underestimated like how strong that can be in this army. I think that plus having these 2 restrictions, like the 2 restrictions plus having to take 33% core, where like your best core option, because you're going to spend like 100 and maybe 100 to 150 points on chaff in core. So like Warhounds and Marauder Horsemen.
I think you for sure buy the chariot, right?
Yeah. And so then you get like 120 point chariot.
You know what they should have done? Like, I feel like this would have been better. Just made the chariot mandatory and then make it 25%. And then it would be like basically the same thing.
Yeah. Because now you have to probably find 400. You have to take like 400 points in regular Chaos Knights, which is a lot of points in regular Chaos Knights when you can't give them, when you basically can give one of them a mark, right? Or a good mark. Because like a lot, what we're seeing right now for competitive Chaos with the Knights in particular, and you played this list, it's like usually like a bunch of minimum units of Khorne, right?
Yeah.
And now you're basically stuck with like, I can take one decent sized unit with Khorne and maybe a magic banner to fill up my points. Because like units of 4 and 5 with Chaos Undivided, they just don't do a lot.
No, I agree. Like Khorne is such a force multiplier for them that Yeah, because they're not like chosen knights that have 2 base attacks.
Exactly. Yeah.
They just have the one.
Yeah, so I'm not quite sure about that. That's kind of like the one bummer. But let's go into what they get that's special, because
Yeah,
they do
I want to talk about this chariot, and then I want to talk about Big Dragon Daddy and maybe that Warpfire Dragon.
Daddy. Yeah, and then we also have a special character that's super Big Dragon Daddy, which we'll talk about as well. So the Chosen Chaos Chariot, and this to me is like the main reason why you're going to try to make this list work. So it's 140 points, so it's 30 more points than the regular Chaos Chariot.
Okay.
With effectively the same stat line. So strength 5, tough 5, 4 wounds. Instead of leadership 8, it is leadership 9, because because instead of having regular Chaos Charioteers on it, it has Chosen Charioteers. So you get 2 Chosen Warriors of Chaos with halberds on the back that have 2 attacks each. So, once you're stuck into combat, it will have 4 attacks that are weapon skill 5, strength 5 at initiative 4. If you charged initiative 7, it's pretty solid. It can have any of the marks of Khorne. It can have any of the marks that you want, like Mark of Khorne, Nurgle, Slaanesh, Tzeentch. Special rules. It has Close Order and Sorcered Weapons, first charge, which you should expect, D6 plus 1 impact hits, and counter charge.
Okay, wait. That's a chariot with counter charge?
Yes.
Do you remember for when just a brief moment we thought that the Black Orc chariot had counter charge, and how my mind exploded?
Oh yeah, you were done. You were like, this is the greatest thing that ever happened to the world.
That's amazing. This is the coolest unit in the whole book.
It is. Yeah, this is very strong, especially in a meta that loves small units of cavalry, like shock cavalry and monsters. Having these guys that can just be like, sure, come at me, bro. But there's a very good chance you're going to take a bunch of impact hits before you get to do anything. AP2 impact hits, because it's a heavy chariot. That's good.
It should be scary to people.
It is. And it makes for really easy, I find, positioning choices now. Because if your opponent's running any fast cav or anything like that, and they want to be aggressive, you just put these guys up front. You say, okay, you're not charging me. If you charge me, you're I'm taking my pound of flesh.
Right.
So they're really solid. I do love this unit quite a bit. If you're running this list, you can only take these guys in this list. You're probably taking 2, the max you can take, and you're probably taking a character on one, because it's a solid investment, unless you're going Big Dragon Daddy. So
you can take characters on these chariots.
Yes, you can take Chaos Lords, Exalted Champions, or Aspiring Champions on them. You cannot take a Sorcerer Lord on one, unfortunately.
Does that count towards your 1 per 1,000?
No, it does not.
So you could run probably 5 of them if you really wanted to.
Yeah, if you really wanted to go heavy on the martial characters and forego most of your casting, you could 100% do 3 of these dudes, a Chaos Lord and 2 Exalted Champions or something like that on these.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty solid foundation.
I wouldn't want to have to fight that.
Well, unless you're an entirely infantry army, or something like that, which nobody's running right now, or very few people are. That's it's a scary proposition. So I really like this unit. Cool. It's definitely cool. And then lastly, I guess not lastly, because we're going to talk about a special character in a second, but the special character really doesn't have anything to do with this list. Warpfire Dragons. So
I love this model so much. It's such a cool model.
It's such a cool model. And this unit, bleep that out, Dickie. But it's pretty good. I don't know if it's as good as the gigantic Chaos Pawn, because it's just how expensive this guy is, but he's got a lot of good rules. All right. Warpfire Dragon. Here's your stat line. Movement 6, doesn't matter, he flies. Weapon skill 6.
Oh, I like that.
Doesn't matter, he's a bitey boy. No, it does matter a lot. Strength 6, toughness 6, wound 6. initiative 3, 5 base attacks, leadership 8. He's got a bunch of special rules that I'll go over in a second that are special to him. He's a large target. He's magic resist -2.
Oh.
Yep. He's the Mark of Chaos Undivided, so he's rerolling leadership checks.
Hell yeah.
Regeneration 5+.
Oh, what?
D6 stomps, Swift Stride, Terror, and then a bunch of other rules that I'll get to in a second.
Okay.
You can upgrade him to be a wizard, either level 1 or level 2, so just probably don't, because it's expensive, like it's, the extra 60 points. That has battle magic, demonology, or dark magic, which are good lores. It's fine. But he's base 375 points already. Like, you're only running one. You can only ever run one in any of your army lists, and he's expensive. But on top of all those rules I already told you about, which are good,
he does other stuff too.
He does other stuff. So he has explosive demise. So when he dies, every unit within 6 inches, whether friend or foe, takes D6 strength 5 AP2 hits.
Yikes, that's actually brutal.
Oh yeah. He has fire and chaos. He has a 5+ ward save against any wounds suffered that were caused by a magical attack or flaming attack. So unlike most rules that have this like non-magical, his is if it's magical, he shuts it down. The lore behind these guys are they're like dragons that have found a bunch of warpstone and they ate it. And they're like, this is my favorite thing ever, but it's had some side effects. Like exploding.
Constipation.
Exploding constipation. And lastly, he has the Warp Fire special rule. Warp Fire Aura. All models within 3 inches of a Warp Fire dragon lose their ward save.
Oh. God, what a rule.
Yeah, other than the Warpfire Dragon himself. So it's all other models within 3 inches, friend or foe, lose their ward saves.
Okay.
He's AP2 in combat, and he has a breath weapon that's a stone thrower, a 24-inch range stone thrower.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's 6 to 24 inches, strength 4 on the outer edges, strength 8 in the middle, AP1 versus AP3, D3 plus 1 multiple wounds in the middle. And it's cumbersome plus bombardment. So he can move and shoot this. He just can't stand and shoot with it.
Right.
And it's got flaming attacks.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So 375 for this bad boy?
375. So he's not cheap. Like if you're running him, you can't run a gigantic chaos spawn at 2,000 points, which is probably the only negative, in my opinion, because he's got like some very good rules here. Shutting down ward saves is very big.
I really like him. I think that's great.
And he's got a stone thrower and he's not a hellfire cannon.
Yeah.
Which is garbage and you shouldn't run them. But you should consider running a Warpfire Dragon.
I'm honestly on Team Warpfire Dragon now. I definitely would bring one in. And can you only take him in the in this list?
No, you can run him in a Grand Army as well.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm in on
you can take one in either one. You cannot take him in Wolves of the Sea, Sea of the Wolves, Sea Wolves, Seabiscuit, but you can take him in the other two.
That sounds like the right name, actually.
Seabiscuit.
I like Seabiscuit. Yeah.
Here's my Seabiscuit list. So that's the Warpfire Dragon. He's pretty cool. He answers some questions for Chaos, I think. It's a big price tag, and Chaos Spawn are very good, but it might be worth it. Like, I don't think if I saw someone running this in a list, I would say like, "What the is that guy thinking about?" Like, I would be like, "Cool." I'd
be like, respect.
Yeah, that's a unit I have to have an answer to. Yeah. And there's nothing stopping you from running 3 dragons in a chaos list anymore because not only do you have like the best dragon mount in the game and the only dragon other thing in the game, I think, right? Hey, High Elves, all their dragons are mounts too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So lastly, we have Galrock, the Great Drake.
You know, Peter, this character harkens back to a lot of old fantasy. And he's a chaos dragon that's been possessed by a Lord of Change.
So cool.
Which is an awesome concept. And he's the first chaos dragon.
Yep.
So what does Dragon Daddy do, Peter?
Having been consumed by the warping power of the great deceiver, Galrock is now a shadow of his old resplendent self. His polished golden scales had glittered like the light of dawn, earning him the moniker of the Gold Drake, but now they convulse with cackling faces that sing the praises of Tzeentch. And then there's a lot more. It's a long story. But so Galrock, he's a big dragon boy. He's a 465 points. He can be taken in any Warriors of Chaos list. Anyone. It's just if you're Warriors of Chaos, you choose to run it.
So I can take him in Sea Wolves.
You can take him in Seabiscuit, take him in Heralds, you can take him in Grand Army. He is movement 6, doesn't matter, he flies. Weapon skill 6, ballistic skill 3, strength 6, tough 6, wound 6, 4 initiative, 6 attacks, leadership 9. He's got armored hide 1. So he's got a 3+ armor save because he's got armored hide plus full plate armor.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. He has fly 10, large target. He's the mark of Tzeentch, so he's got magic resist 1. Regeneration and flaming attacks. Regeneration 5+ instead of a ward save. D6 stomp, swift stride, terror, and then several Galrock exclusive special rules.
Okay.
He is a level 4 wizard that has to take spells from dark magic, or the Tzeentch signature spell.
Awesome.
He has talk about that one last. The Spirit of Galrock. So this is like the one pseudo-negative rule that he has. Yeah. So basically, what's remaining of the dragon in his brain sometimes tries to fight back. So every turn you have to roll a leadership test in the start of turn phase. If you pass it, Galrock acts as normal. If you fail, he becomes a level 1 wizard. They can only cast 1 spell per turn. He drops from fly 10 to random movement 2d6. And if he's engaged in combat, he must take D3 of his attacks. So of his 6 attacks, D3 of them, he hits himself.
Ooh.
And those wounds, if he does any to himself, are counted towards your opponent's combat resolution.
That's...
Yeah. The cool thing, random movement 2d6 can be actually better than fly 10 in some situations, right? Because you can avoid some charge reactions. The negative to that is if you do that, you have to hit yourself, which kind of sucks, but is what it is. Into his other rules, he has the 2-headed dragon special rule, which just means that he can either do a Darkfire breath weapon, which is strength 4 AP 1, flaming attacks, or Fume of Contagion, which is a strength 2, no armor saves allowed, flame breath. He has, lastly, did I forget anything? Just want to make sure I'm not losing. Yeah. Lastly, he has Breath of Change. So once per game, instead of using his breath weapon, you can choose to use his Breath of Change breath weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Same idea. You place the flame template down. Any model whose base is underneath the template risks being hit. All models hit, whether they're friend or foe, make a toughness test. If they fail the toughness test, they are removed from play.
Ooh, that's pretty spicy.
Yep. So it's like, I think this is the only instant kill in the game with a test. No, it's not. That's not true. There's a couple others, but this is like a significant one. Mm-hmm. There are some hoops to go through, that's for sure. But there is that like once per game chance where you're going to take out something real big with this.
Yeah. I mean, if you roll a 4 and then a 6, like, that's pretty scary, right? I mean, like it's not outside the realm of possibility that that's going to happen.
No, like you're going to have it happen at least once in your life when you're running Galrock, where you're going to wipe out like an opposing Chaos Dragon or something equally silly.
And you're going to feel really good about it too. When
you will, well, inwardly, you'll feel amazing.
Yeah.
But outwardly you're going to be like,
express remorse to your opponent.
So sorry that this happened. Right? It's like,
sorry.
It's like all those times that I used to use cupped hands in 7th edition and at early 8th, and I would force my opponent to vortex themselves. Like inwardly, I was like, this is the greatest thing that ever happened. Outwardly, I was like, I'm so sad. I'm so sorry. Dwellers Below, anybody that's ever Dwellers Below a general in the old rules, you were so sad, but not really.
But only kind of, yeah.
Only kind of. It's like I just won the game by rolling 6 dice on something. But anyway, Breath of Change. So Galrock, pretty cool. What do you think?
I think he sounds awesome, especially since, Dark Magic natively has a -1 toughness spell.
Oh yeah, it's true.
So that makes that breath weapon pretty spicy. Now, he's going to be a character that kind of like is not necessarily like a direct punch you in the face kind of dragon. He's more like a skirmishing dragon where he can go into combat and do like okay, right?
Yeah.
But like really you want him out so that he can keep casting because he's also a level 4 wizard.
Yeah. And he's a very expensive level 4 wizard.
Yeah.
465 points is not cheap. Also, he doesn't have a ward save. He just has a regen save. So Killing Blow is real scary for him. Monster Killing Blow, I should say, in particular. Like he will have 0 save if he gets hit with that.
That's true.
So you got to, if you like your Tomb Scorpions and stuff, you want to stay far away from. But yeah, like, and he opens, like I said, he opens up a triple dragon list. You can definitely play Game of Thrones with your old world fantasy now if you want.
It's also a level 4 dragon.
Yeah.
Which kind of fits into that nicely because it gives you some magic defense as well.
Yeah, so you've got your level 4 wizard that's also a dragon on with your Chaos Lord on a dragon, and then you run a Warp Fire dragon. And that's a pretty beefy combo, right? You're looking at 22 toughness 6 wounds with good saves. Like, yeah, at least a 3-up, 5-up on all of them. So
I think that's very good.
Yeah,
scary, very scary.
It's cute. It's definitely cute. So that's it for that. That's all of the units, all the special stuff. Now, all we have left are the magic items. Unlike orcs and goblins, unlike dwarves, there's no like special magic stuff really. There's no like new magic lore or anything to go over. But we do have some magic items.
Well, let's hear about them.
Okay. So, magic item numero 1 under magic weapons. The Obsidian Dreadglaive. It is 55 points. It has Killing Blow. It's Strike Last. Strength +2, AP 1. So it's a worse great weapon.
Get out of here with that. That's not a good item.
Yeah, a worse great weapon, but has Killing Blow. Can only be taken in Heralds of Darkness. I'm going to say this right now. It can only be taken never.
Yeah. It can be taken straight to the garbage can.
Do not take this weapon. Do not take a worse great weapon on the off chance of getting Killing Blow. Next up. Oh, you and I have talked about this one. The Dagger of the Dark Pantheon. 35 points. By drawing on the life force of those slain with this wicked weapon, its wielder is able to channel the winds of magic far more recklessly. So this is strength user, AP2, magical attacks, no special rule, 35 points. But it does have a note in italics, because that's how they like to do this.
Yep.
For each wound that an enemy unit loses as a result of an attack made from this dagger, its wielder gets +1 to their next cast or dispel roll.
Yeah, that's like fine. Where do you put this on? Do you put it on a Demon Prince, I guess?
I think you do. I've this is what I tried it on. I put it on a Demon Prince in my Sea Wolves list on Mark of Nurgle Demon Prince. And it was really fun because I would smack somebody and do like 2 or 3 wounds. And then my next dispel was at like +7. And then if I didn't have to dispel anything, I'd cast the Nurgle +1 toughness spell at like a huge point increase.
Yeah.
And like pretty much guaranteed to get it off. And that was where the fun was, because it's like you're strength 5 AP2 with that Demon Prince, or strength 6. Yeah, strength 5 AP2, which is very solid. Or is he strength 6? Strength 6 AP2.
I think he's strength 6 base.
No, he is strength 6. Yeah, strength 6 AP2. So you're basically like a great weapon to anybody else already, but at initiative. So you're on the charge, you're initiative 10, smacking somebody with that. Yeah, it's not ideal. It's not the best, but it's cool. There's some other combos you can do with it too. Next up, 30 points for the Chieftain's Blade. This is a Wolves of the Sea exclusive. The title of Chieftain is earned and kept through triumph in single combat, but not by birthright. Strength +1, AP 1, Armor Bane 1. And you get +1 to your rolls to hit with it.
Oh, yeah, I like that weapon.
In a challenge only.
Oh. I still like that weapon. Okay. It's 30 points?
30 points.
Yeah. All right. I'm waffling here, so that probably means it's not good.
I don't think it's good. I think like there's a play. I think the what you use it for is if you're like, if you have a champion that can take a 50 point something, and you're like, this is my challenge champion.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the time, but I don't feel like you take it in many other circumstances. And then we have the Taskmaster's Scourge. This is a strength user, AP 1, extra attacks 1, 25-point magic item. This is infantry only. In the command phase, you may do a leadership test, the wielder of the whip. If you pass it until your next start of turn subphase, the unit that character is in gains plus D3 to their movement speed.
Oh. Yeah, that's really cool, actually.
It's kind of cool. Kind of cool.
Really?
Like,
you don't think you don't rate that one as
no,
as
I do. Like, me saying kind of cool is like, I like it.
Oh, okay.
I think there's some play there. Like, boosting your Chaos Knights or something to like potentially movement 10 for a turn. Pretty good. Even just like Marauders or something, getting them up to 6, 7, 8 is quite solid. And you can do this every phase, right? So there's no penalty. For every turn, I should say.
Yeah. I'm thinking like boosting those Marauder Berserkers up.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah.
Although the character's going to slow him down, right? Because he's only movement 4.
Wait, let me check the Chieftain.
Oh, maybe the Chieftain is 5.
Because I don't think I even said it. I think he's actually 4, so you might be right. Berserkers are 5. Chieftain is only 4.
Still.
Yeah.
If that's like an average of +1 movement to one of those units, I think that's good. I think it's cute on the Knights.
Yeah. If only the champion for the Berserkers could take a special a magic item, then that would be baller. Just give it to him.
Great.
Oh well, sucks to suck. For magic armor, so this was part of that combo I was doing with the Demon Prince with that dagger. Is the new demonic plate mail for 50 points. You can only give this to infantry or cavalry, and it's the same as that full plate for orcs and goblins. So you get +1 toughness, but also +1 initiative. Ooh. And it's full plate.
Yeah, I really like that item. That's cool.
So putting that on a Demon Prince, it's now strength 6, tough 6 base, initiative 8 base. And then, you cast the Nurgle signature on him and he's toughness 7.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah. So I like that a lot. And that combo, I did get to pull it off a couple times. It's pretty sweet. Like,
yeah, did it feel pretty good?
It felt good when my opponent with their great weapons was wounding me on 5s. It felt real good. Be like, suck it. And then getting a Demon Prince with a 4+, 5++, 4+++ or whatever was pretty solid. So
yeah. He's 4+, 4+, 5+. Yeah, already. That's great.
Except against magic stuff because he's a demon, an idiot. The Mighty Serpent Scale Mail for 40 points. A dark enchantment wrought in the name of the serpent has placed upon the glittering scales of this armor. Wolves of the Sea exclusive heavy armor gives you strikes first for 40 points.
Yeah, I know you can make a really good like strikes first character with this, but I probably would not.
I agree. I would not do that. If this was full plate, I'd consider it maybe because there's no like Sea Wolves don't really have that option to make like a really armored guy other than your Chaos Lord. The one you get in the army if you want to take one. So that would be cute, but otherwise, yeah, I don't feel like it's worth it for 40 points. Talismans. I love this one, if only because it makes the most frustrating chaos lists possible. The Talisman of the Carrion Crow for 45 points. So Carrion Crow, for those of you that don't know, a lot of the Marauder tribes don't know that the Chaos Gods are Chaos Gods, and they just worship like animal totems. Carrion Crow is Nurgle.
And the serpent is Slaanesh.
And the is it? Yeah, Serpent Slaanesh. Was it
the Raven is Zinch, the Hound is Khorne.
It's the Eagle is Zinch.
Eagle is Zinch. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yes, the Serpent is Slaanesh and the Hound is Khorne. But this Carrion Crow is 45 points for Talisman. Gives you regen 5+ and poisoned attacks.
40 points for that? That's pretty good.
45.
Even that 45. That's still great.
What I like about it is now you can have 2 characters in a list with an armor save, a ward save, and a regen save.
You could have 3 of them if you took a Demon Prince, Peter.
Don't tell me how to live my life. But yeah, that's pretty frustrating.
That's really
I think when I played my Herald's list into Adam, the thing he got the most mad about was the fact that my Chaos Lord and my Sorcerer Lord both had a 3+ armor save, a 5+ ward save, and a 5+ regen. He was not happy about those guys just not taking wounds. It's like, but yeah, so you can do that now, and it's really frustrating. And the fact that this one also gives you poisoned attacks is not a terrible thing.
Seems pretty good.
Talisman of the Soaring Eagle for 35 points. As it is a Zinchian item, it gives you magic resistance -2 and a 5+ ward save against magical attacks.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's mid.
Banners.
Oh, I love a good banner.
You love a good banner? Well, there's a couple here that are okay. The first one, the
like
banner.
Bruce.
I see what you did there. So the banner of the Dark Powers is 50 points. Now I have to be the one that's disappointed because Adam's not here. Pulsing with iridescent light. This banner shields those who march beneath it from all but the most potent magic. Magic resist -3 banner.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
It's decent.
Yeah.
Then there's 25 points. Banner of the Baying Hound. So this is a Herald of Darkness exclusive banner. 25 points. Khorne banner. Vanguard.
Now that's an interesting banner.
Yes.
Yeah, that banner rules.
I do like giving my Chaos Knights and stuff Vanguard.
I want to give that to a Chosen Chariot.
You can do that.
That sounds cool.
Danny, I didn't even think of that. Danny, that is cool. I like that a lot. Shit. Okay.
This guy's going to be a problem right now.
Going to be a problem. The Sea Raiders crest is 25 points. This is your Wolves of the Sea exclusive. And for 25 points, it gives a unit Fear. If they already have fear, it gives them terror.
Okay.
Lastly, the Icon of Darkness is a 20-point magic item that gives your unit -1 to be hit from shooting attacks.
Oh, I do like that.
I like that, and I like the Vanguard banner. Those are Vanguard in particular, very strong.
Yeah.
Sad that it's locked to Heralds of Darkness, but like you just mentioned, that's a pretty scary thing on that Chosen Chariot.
Yeah.
Like an aspiring champion or an exalted champion on one of those with that, it ups the value. Enchanted items. We've got 45 points for the Blood Skull Pendant. Filled with the blood of a demon prince of Corn, this accursed amulet turns the wearer into a maelstrom of violence. Infantry only. Instead of attacking normally, the bearer gets to do a single strength 8 hit on every model in base contact with it at an AP of 1 with killing.
That's cool on a wizard.
Yeah, it's kind of neat on a wizard, I guess. 45 points is a lot to basically get 3 strength 8 AP 1 hits, but I guess like that's the best that the wizard's going to do ever anyway.
Is it's limited to infantry characters?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can't do like really silly shenanigans. Unfortunately, like the best you're going to get. Yeah, the best you're going to do is like a demon prince with a 50 mil base, right? Gets to hit like 4 or 5 guys, depending on the day. But even then, he's got a lot of attacks anyway, so you probably don't want to spend the 45 points on that. The Rod of the Damned for 40 points. So this is a 40-point item that lets you cast Summoning as a bound spell, power level 2.
It's a good spell.
It's a good spell.
40 points is a lot of points.
Yeah, I mean, people pay 35 for the ruby ring, so for 5 more points
I'd pay 45 for the summoning instead.
Yeah, 40 points is a pretty solid deal to get a slightly better fireball, right? Because it's AP 1. Yeah I'm into that. And Demon Forged Barding. So this is a Heralds of Darkness exclusive, 35 points. It has to be taken on a cavalry unit. On a turn in which the bearer charges, their mount and all mounts in a unit they have joined get +1 attack.
Oh, that's really cool.
It is kind of neat. It's like
if you stuck that on a big unit of like, well, you're probably gonna take a big unit of Chaos Knights, right, in that list. Anyway,
yes.
That seems like a pretty good value. Because they're all strength 4.
Yeah, you're gonna get like 6 or 7 extra attacks often with this thing. Probably 6 at least at 35 points, strength 4. Used to be AP 1, not anymore. That's okay.
AP 1 would make that a lot more attractive to me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay. Now we're on to the arcane items, and I think there's a couple really good arcane items here. There are 3. I really enjoy 2 of them.
Okay.
One of them is not bad either. So the first one
is which?
You guys tell me at home, or Danny. The Scepter of Power is 55 points. So it ain't cheap. Those who have carried the scepter have enjoyed the thrill of limitless power. Each of them price for this. So 55 points. You get +1 to your casting and dispel rolls. However, every time you roll a natural double, you take a strength 10 AP 3 hit.
Okay. Yeah, I'm out on this one already.
Okay. Guess what? That wasn't one of the ones I liked.
Oh, okay.
All right. Next up.
Look, the +1 cast and dispel is real good.
It is, but you get that with Tzeentch anyway.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have options that don't have a negative side effect, like the Infernal Puppet, or the Skull of Catan or whatever. Grimoire of Ogvald. 50 points. Ogvald feverishly documented many arcane secrets over the years, hoping that this knowledge would serve the will of chaos even after his demise. So, this gives you Lore Master.
Oh.
However, you may only cast a number of spells equal to your wizard level. But you get to know all 7 spells from your chosen lore, including the signature spell, without having to just know them all.
And that's how many points?
50.
That's such an upgrade over the lore familiar.
Yeah, it is, because it's so much more like malleable. You get to, like, every turn you get to pick which 4 spells you're casting, right? Like,
right.
It's very good. It's very good. And the fact that your signature is included in that too, like, ugh.
Yes. So you for sure are getting 7 different spells to pick from.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
The question I would have is, could you, with Chaos, swap one of those for the Chaos signature spell?
I was just thinking that, Peter. I don't know. It seems like you're limited to whatever you pick. So then you're stuck without your other, like, racial signatures.
Mm-hmm. I think so. I'm assuming we'll get an FAQ for it.
Yeah.
But this is still very strong. And, like, if you're doing, like, double level 4s, which is something Chaos can do very easily and very well, like, you can run this and Lore Familiar, and you're guaranteeing all the spells you want on both of your characters, right? So
yeah,
that's really, really good. And there's some real good combos you can do there already, and you're just making them better. The last one, I really like this one as well. Tome of the Dark Gods. It's 35 points. I'm not sure it'll see a lot of play, but I really like it. So, model with the Mark of Chaos Undivided only. When you generate your spells, the bearer of the Tome of Darkness can discard as many of your spells as you want in exchange for any of the signature spells from any of the Lores of Chaos.
Oh.
Whether or not they have that mark, because you have the Mark of Chaos Undivided. So, so you can get the signature spell for Tzeentch, Nurgle, Slaanesh,
and Undivided.
And Undivided, if you wanted to. Any of those 4. And, like, 3 of those, in my opinion, are very good spells. So, like, if you roll garbage on the ones you don't want any of them, all of a sudden now you can take Blue Flames, and you can take +1 toughness. You can take the Always Strike Last spell. Like, you have a lot of options there.
Yeah, and just depending on what you roll in the first place, like what you actually don't want. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that'll see.
I think it's a very good, because the signatures for Chaos are very good to begin with. So, yeah, you can take as many of them as you want. And boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, everybody else, that's the book. What do you think, Danny?
I'm pretty honestly okay. I was less impressed initially. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I think this stuff is a little derivative or whatever based on, like, what other, like, armies of renown we got. But, like, these magic items are really cool. There's a lot of added play there. I think both the lists have their place. But the thing I do like, neither of them are an obvious choice over the Grand Army.
Yeah, that is one thing, like, that I will say that Games Workshop has done very well with these Arcane Journals. Is they've all felt different, but not more powerful, really. Maybe Mortuary Cults is a little more powerful than the other 2 options for Tomb Kings, but I don't think it's drastically more than the Grand Army in particular.
That's and that's really the outlier, I think, is that Army of Renown.
Yeah, because, like, the Dwarven ones, they're just different from the Grand Army, and they both play very differently. Orcs and Goblins, like, you lose out on your 2 best units to take the 2 Armies of Infamy, but they make other units your best units, so that's really cool. Bretonia gets some, like, wicked options with Exiles, but you sacrifice stuff, right, to do it. And I think Errantry is probably the only other one that's kind of potentially a weak choice for an Army of Infamy out there, but it's not bad. You can do some cool stuff with it, with running a ton of Errantry Knights. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah. This is what a cool addition to the game. I'm pretty excited to play with it and against it.
So what would you rate this book on a scale of 1 to 10 or A to F? Where do you put this?
All right. So I'm going to go 1 to 10 because I'm illiterate. So
I've never seen a letter in my life.
Never even once. And I'm not going to start today. Yeah, I think that this book is probably a 7 or an 8. I would rate it. I'd probably lean more towards 8 than 7. Like I think there maybe was a couple of missed opportunities here, but the stuff that they did do, I think they knocked it out of the park. Warpfire Dragon's super cool. Mm-hmm. Actually, all of the units are pretty cool.
Yeah, I would say the Huskarls and the Chieftain are kind of the meh options, and they're not like it's not that they're bad. The rest are pretty cool. I wish Skin Wolves was slightly better, I think. But
I wish that they had like just a little bit more AP.
Yeah, I wish the AP bonus was like AP2 Armor Bane instead of AP1 Armor Bane 2. But yeah, like overall, yeah, I think I am leaning more towards a 7. I was really down on this book on first glance, to be honest with you. We talked about it when we first got it. I thought Sea Wolves was cute. And was probably going to be decent. And I thought Heralds was garbage. I was like, this is the worst thing. I can't believe they did this. It's, like you said, very derivative. But the more like I sat with the book, the more I liked Wolves of the Sea. I thought it was awesome. And we'll talk about it in part 2 if you guys are patrons. I'll go over some of my games. We have some patron questions with these lists. But like Wolves of the Sea, especially after I put it on the table, was immensely fun to play. Like just a ball. And Heralds wasn't terrible because those chosen Chaos Chariots, they're actually like they add a really fun dynamic to the game. I just hated like the list restrictions more than anything when it came down to it, especially the core. That 33% core tax. Like my first list was super illegal because I hadn't even noticed it. And I was like, okay, I think I can do this cute thing. And then I was like, oh shit, I have to buy like 10 more knights to make this list work. Well, now I don't want to do it. Anyway, that's that. But yeah, like overall, I would say this, I'm still marking it about a 7. It's fine. It's got a really cool new way to play the list and a fun adjacent way to play the list. But you also get 2 super cool dragons and an awesome chaos spawn thing that's going to frustrate your opponents to no end. So,
which you should love that because really your opponents are weaker than you.
Yeah.
You should make sure that they know it.
You should. Like at every step of the way, especially with chaos where they are often a low ceiling, big dumb army to play, you need to make sure that your opponents know like you aren't beating them because of skill. You are beating them because you're just better than them in general.
Man, what a line to sign out on. That's
what a line. Well, anyway, you guys have a good night. See you on the second part.
You've been listening to That Old World Charm with those charming chaps, Adam, Danny, and Peter the Falcon. Thanks ever so much. Cheerio.